Hi there, welcome to another episode of the Consultus Chat. Today I'm joined by Paul. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Excellent stuff. Today we're here to talk about energy certificate trading. So Paul, without further ado, where does energy certificate trading sit within the renewable energy sourcing landscape?
Well, there's multiple ways that energy buyers or just corporates in general might look to source green energy. I think the most sustainable way of doing it is generally considered to be either through a new to earth PPA, or it might be that you can do on-site generation. However, as we know, these routes aren't open to everyone, and certainly might not be open to the full volume of a large corporate's energy consumption. So yeah, certificate. It may well be that a company is looking to secure green energy and therefore wants to buy green certificates against all of their offtake across the UK, or it might be that they just want to secure green certificates to cover off the volume that they're not able to secure via PPAs or on-site renewables.
Okay, so in simple terms, for a layman, it's very much about kind of obtaining renewable energy through a contractual structure to say, I've secured and I've bought that renewable energy and it's for my business.
Yeah, and generally that's achieved through a supply contract. A lot of the supply contracts that we secure for our clients will be green electricity supply contracts. However, we've had over the past few years, particularly driven by price volatility in the REGO market, that's the UK green certificate market, we've had a lot more interest from some of our larger customers in looking at risk managing their green certificate trading as well, in order to try and offset some of that volatility.
You mentioned the UK market, REGO's certificates there. Are globally they're different standards?
There are, we're always trying to, there can't ever be an actual global standard. We have to have different names for different regions. So in Europe, generally it's GEOs, so that's guarantees of origin. In the States, it's RECs, and then more globally, generally the instruments are known as IRECs.
Okay, but they're essentially all the same thing. Is that the point?
They are the same thing with different
badge on the front,
regulating bodies and different names.
I guess buyers out there or people working in organisations that establish a need for this, particularly global organisations, it can be a very confusing marketplace, right? So to weave through that's very important. So who are these energy certificate trading for? You mentioned corporates quite a lot. Is it just for kind of corporations? Or is it for an SME, for instance, looking to appease certain renewable energy needs?
I think increasingly we're seeing it across the full spectrum of our client base. In terms of even at SME level, you would probably find that from a cost to serve perspective, you would probably find that actually if you were a SME business and you want to buy your import electricity, you want to buy that as green, you're probably better off just getting it through your supply contract in most cases. For larger consumers, then that people are interested in looking at more creative solutions.
Okay, so essentially what we're talking about is sourcing renewable certification, but you have the option of either A, source it through your energy supplier when you buy your energy contract, or B, via a separate route, so you separately sort and source your energy supply contract, and then this is a separate exercise for energy certificate trading that you can embark on and buy that certification responsible for your business.
Yeah, there is nothing to stop a business entering into a conventional or brown electricity supply contract, but then securing their REGOs or GEOs or whatever you want to call them outside of that contract.
Out there in the world, there's things around sustainability, different standards, different measures of what's right, what's wrong. Are these certificates respected globally? Can a business kind of put their stamp and say, yeah, we are achieving our renewable metrics, our sustainability metrics by sourcing via this route? Is it legitimate, effectively?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you hear a lot of talk about, you know, greenwashing and things along those lines. I mean, the one thing I would say is that, you know, ultimately, the RE100, which is a global standard for, for green energy procurement, the RE100 recognises the purchasing of EACs, so energy attribute certificates, which is another name for green certificates. Okay. The RE100 recognises green certificates as a legitimate way of claiming green energy consumption. So I would generally take a view that, if you know, the largest sort of global standard is saying that, then I would fall on the side of it being a legitimate way of buying green energy. But, you know, it is true that companies will have an individual view on this, and we are, you know, there's been some waves made by some larger corporates who have moved away from the green certificate market. So, you know, it's very much a voluntary compliance at this stage. So ultimately, businesses will have their own imperatives of what they're trying to achieve, what they think green is. But as a general rule, and I think you also have to think about what options are available to all companies, because some, you know, it's all well and good saying everyone needs to have a PPA, but to 95% of customers, they don't have access to PPAs.
Is that a scale thing? They don't have the scale.
They don't have they don't have the volume. It might be that they've not got the credit. So ultimately, you end up tearing down in terms of what is the best achievable option for me. And for a lot of businesses, they will land on buying green certificates. So it is definitely the best option for a lot of companies that want to say that we buy green energy.
Yeah, okay, so it's an element of being practical and realistic in the market. As an organisation, you can make the best endeavours. So, like you said, large scale PPA, not for you. Maybe you don't fundamentally have the space, or you don't own a building or a property to be able to go and do your own on-site generation activities.
Yeah.
Or the capital, you know, or funding solutions that you can access.
Exactly.
So this is a legitimate way of doing your best, and I think that's what we're talking about here. Okay,
yeah, that's right.
I guess the thing that this is then is ultimately a sourcing exercise. People always want to know, and in this complex market where there's multiple names for ostensibly the same thing, how do they ensure that that they're getting good value in this marketplace, and what does the marketplace look like? Yeah,
so this is where I suppose one of the big challenges are in the market, is that it's a market that generally, you know, it's probably not the most transparent market. It's what we would call an OTC market, so it's an over-the-counter market. It's not, actually, I think there is now one exchange in Europe that is trading green certificates, but basically they're not trading over exchanges generally globally, which means that price visibility is generally low. So in terms of, how we support customers, you know, we do have, because of where we sit within the industry, because of our global reach as a business, you know, we do have a view on where fair value in the marketplace is, where a good when a good time to buy might be. Ultimately, one of the added values that we're able to provide to our customers that want to source green certificates is that we can help to provide more clarity, more visibility on where the market is, and what a good price is. And if we reach that point, then we can support our customers in putting a bid into the market and helping them either through negotiation or just having the bid accepted, you know, achieving a fair value price.
Okay. It sounds like there is a kind of a range of prices out there. What are the things that are typically driving these prices up or down? What are the major factors typically?
It's an incredibly volatile market. Okay. That's, if we were to go back to the REGO market in the UK, I think in the last probably 12 probably just over 12 months, I think we've seen prices trade probably somewhere between £3.80 and £25 a megawatt hour.
Oh, wow, that is some deviation.
Exactly. So it's a highly volatile market. What's it driven by? Again, and part of the reason for that is that it's driven by supply and demand. So that'll be demand either from suppliers who will have to buy green certificates for their own compliance, for their fuel mix disclosure reasons, or corporates looking to get into the market to green their energy. But then there's also, on the supply side, you've got to bear in mind that the supply is dictated by the amount of wind that's been generated, the amount of solar that's been generated, and ultimately the amount of sunshine we have. The amount of wind that we have is never known. It's even more difficult to forecast. So you have some very interesting and highly volatile supply dynamics and demand dynamics as well. And that's really what feeds into the volatility.
Okay, so with organisations, let's say upping their sustainability game around net zero, potentially a lot of buyers are kind of doing this activity for the first time and are entering this market. And how do I know what good value is? And I guess that's some of the value that you and your team support. What does your team do specifically in terms of supporting operationally? When we get down to it and the client says, right, Paul, can you help us out? We need to find value. What is it that you're doing? Yeah,
so we support clients on multiple fronts. So it will be from as simple as sort of market intelligence. So we can support clients by tracking the market. It might be that we, if they were a large scale consumer, it might be that we run some sort of a risk strategy for them if the spend was sufficient to justify that. But then once it comes to the point of execution, we would establish what the best route to market would be. So it might be that actually, even though we're looking to optimize the trading of it, there is flexibility within the supply contracts actually just to go and do it through the supplier.
Okay.
Alternatively, if that wasn't an option or it wasn't the best option, we could look to go out to market. So that would be either to approach generators directly or to work with our broker partners in order to ascertain the best price. And that might include registering a bid into the market at what we think good value is, and then pursuing that in order to try and secure at that price. If we can't secure at that price, try and get as close to that price as you can. I think one of the pitfalls that a lot of people, or if you were inexperienced in doing this, would be to try and work with multiple brokers and actually run it as a tendering process.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll get yourself in all sorts of problems, I think, if you try to do it that way. Actually, the best way to think about it is a trading process rather than a procurement process. And track the market. When you reach a good value threshold, get into the market, and then try and get as close as you can to your target price. But if you were to try and run it as a tender, you would probably find that we know because we've tried it. It doesn't really work.
Okay, brilliant. Well, Paul, thank you for your time.
No worries.
Really insightful stuff. If you do want to find out more, please do get in touch. But for now, thank you very much.